Krystle.
Yes, hello. Sorry, I have a child ripping my arm off the button.
Oh no, all I want to know is it sounding funny to you, like my microphone, or
No, you sound normal to me, mate.
it's picking up the internal microphone of the laptop? That could be it. That could be it. You know what though? But I'm not gonna touch it because the last time I did, everything stopped working, and I don't want that to happen again. So yeah, I'm not gonna touch it. I think we're just gonna deal with this for today. Um, in any case, today I invited Daniel Dye. Daniel Dye, music is his user handle. He has been, to me, one of the best songwriters who have joined the platform. He's been contributing to the open mic week after week with amazing original material, and it's always a pleasure to listen to his stuff. And I spoke to him a couple weeks ago, and I told him that I wanted to get him on the show. And finally, we were able to make it happen today. So I think we got everything working. And Daniel, if you can hear me, can you say hi?
I'm here. Yes, hello.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. they're kind of making fun of me because it turns out, Daniel, and maybe this is true. I have no idea. Maybe my laptop right now went into the internal microphone, which means that my audio quality, my voice is going to sound kind of bathroomish. But
Oh,
that's okay because all I'm going to do is talk and you are going to play. So it's okay if I sound like I'm in the bathroom. That's okay, right?
I was wondering I saw some chatting. I was wondering what that was about. I saw something about a bathroom. So
Yeah, I
that's
don't know.
good.
I thought maybe Petty was making fun of Ron, saying that Ron said he was in the bathroom this whole time. I have no idea. But now I realize that they're talking about me. So it's okay. I have a flag pod that I haven't started using yet, and I'm just going to put them all in automatic flags. So
Love it.
it's going to be great,
All right.
and that will teach them.
All right.
But anyways, Daniel, I am happy you're here, brother. I am happy that we're finally doing this, and we're doing the show with you. I wanted to talk to you for a little while because, of course, I love your music. This is not a secret. I'm always giving you a bunch of props. I'm always telling you how much I enjoy your songs, how much I enjoy your I guess you could say your life outlook slash simplicity approach to writing music, because you're not a guy that will sit there and add 10,000 chords to a song. You focus a
Hmm.
lot on the message, and I appreciate that a lot. Um,
Well,
Actually, I'm gonna move. You know what? Saipan is here. Let me move Saipan. He might be a sleeping potato, but let
okay.
me move him because like, he's in here for some reason.
All right.
So, so with that being said, Daniel, since we're starting this conversation, let me ask you. I already asked you a couple of questions when we were doing the sound check, but I'm gonna ask you again because a lot of
Hmm.
people don't know.
Okay.
Do you know Spanish? There is evidence of you typing in Spanish on Steemit.
I
What's the
would
deal
say
with that?
that I would say that I probably don't know. My wife is a lovely combination of half German, half Puerto Rican, which is a beautiful combination. But she's my Spanish translator, so she helps me out. So I would say that no, I would not say I know Spanish. So yeah, my so in my house there's lots of German and Spanish, but we always default to English when I'm around because I just can't keep up with the others in that regard. So not officially, I would say no. So she's helped me out though with that. And then sometimes I get on and find some translator and try to. I get a lot of like people writing in Turkish or Indonesian, and I like to go and thank them in different languages. It's kind of fun. So, but no, I don't know. It's just kind of fun to mess around a little bit.
It's just kind of fun to pretend.
To pretend, yeah, yeah.
But
So,
you do have an
well,
appreciation for languages, though, right? Because I think I've
hmm
some of the things that I've seen you type, even if it is your wife who's making the typing, they're pretty
hmm
much supportive comments, of another culture, another language, and all this stuff. So
yeah. I what I do to make money. Most of my income comes in from teaching English as a second language. So I'm surrounded all day by people from all over the world who are learning English. So yeah, I like languages. I'm just really not that good at learning them myself, ironically. So I have a lot of empathy though for those that struggle with learning English because I can relate to them. Because when I've sat in language classes trying to learn German, I'm suffering in the back of the classroom. So I can really relate to that. So yeah. I see that you can't hear me very well. Is that better? I'm talking a little bit louder, closer to the mic. Is that better?
Yeah, I
Someone
think
said they can't. Okay. Some people were chatting, said they can't hear me very well. So I.
you sound fine to me. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
This could be one of those Discord kind of things, kind of betrayals slash Furby
Mm,
situations. It
okay.
could be.
Okay. All right. All right. Good. So yeah, I'm sorry, Meno. I'm sorry. I can't say that I'm very good at Spanish. So yeah.
To be fair, I can't speak Spanish either, so we're in the same boat.
Well, thanks, Krystle. Thank you. So
I
yeah.
can't speak any other language. I can barely speak English, so they.
I think I
Yeah.
did what Ron told me to do, and I might be good to go now. I don't know if you guys can hear me better. That means Ron was right, and that was the issue.
I actually could hear you all along quite well. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
it's different with the live on air grouping as to what the audience hear, because people keep complaining, and I'm like, it sounds all right to me. What's the go?
Well, I don't know. I think if it is what Ron was saying, it's that the microphone that was set up on my OBS, and OBS is so finicky. I swear, it was different than the microphone that was set up on Discord, which means that on Discord I'm sending the signal through my USB microphone, but on OBS I'm sending the signal through the laptop speaker, which is the bathroom plugin that I had, and but now it seems to be correct, but now they're saying my volume's low. I don't know.
You actually are coming in beautifully on my end as well. So
Well,
I don't know.
then here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pretend that they're all crazy, and, and then we're just gonna move on. But listen,
yeah, it's so weird. You both sound like you're right next door, both of you.
yeah,
So,
man, aren't you here? You sound like you're here. You got to be here too.
yeah. I'm in the other bathroom over there.
You're in the other bathroom.
Right.
Let me ask you some questions, bro, because I like to ask difficult questions. Let me ask you some
Oh
questions.
no. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I've noticed, right, that you have some music out there. I've noticed that actually when I put your name on Google, stuff shows up, like band stuff. There's like a cello going on. Some like looks like a really big setup over there. So let me ask you this: are you a professional?
I am. I wish I. You know what? I've been playing now for a long time. I've been playing with this band since 2009 or 10, and so I should be. But I'd say that probably this year, most of my income has come in through music, with the help of Steam It. So for the first time, I've done the shift. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really professional, I guess, but I have some albums out there, and I've been playing for about 10 years and play wherever I go. I used to live in. It all started when I lived in Berlin. I started writing lots and lots of songs there, and I play there in Germany. And meanwhile, back at home here in Ohio, my nephews and nieces were getting trained in classical instruments. When I left for Germany, they were terrible. And when I came back, they could play the violin and the cello and the viola.
So
quite
the
well.
bandmates on the picture, they're your family? Don't tell me that.
Yeah, they're my nephews. They're my nephews and nieces.
That is
so it's a
badass.
It's a
man.
family band. Yeah. So we've been playing together since I think 2009 or 2010. So
this just got even better. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So obviously it's family, but how is the chemistry? Is there like, oh no, Uncle Daniel wants me to do this, but that's not what I want to do. How does that work?
It's pretty good. So what happens is that I'll come in to practice with like 3 or 4 new songs, and I'll start playing them. And what happens is I know, like, if they don't say anything, then I know that it's a no. They're really nice. But if
Canadian?
I start,
Canadian? They could be Canadian, right?
They're very nice. They actually have a Mennonite background, so they're pacifists. So they're very nice in many ways. And then I will play a song that I know they like it if they start picking up their instruments and start just working on little riffs and start jamming along. Then I know, okay, this one's gonna go. So that's kind of how it works. And then we work it out. Sometimes I have the parts in my head that I think, oh, I really want to hear this in the violin. But other times they come up with the parts. I don't have anything. So and so we just have kind of different versions of the same song. I'll have my solo version, then I'll have the band version of the song. So yeah.
That's awesome.
And,
You know, I
Right.
have two brothers that are musicians, right? One of them is Pechi, which is the one saying that he dumped me, but that's not true. Like, you know, and the other one, my older brother Jose, which is also a guitar player. And the funny thing about having a band with my brothers is not so much Pechi. I have to say Pechi is easygoing. Like there's times where me and him have butted heads, but
Yeah.
very respectfully. But with my older brother, oh my god. And this is to say, I never allowed him to quit, right? Because he's my brother. He's not allowed to quit, right? He's got to play the gig. But we would butt heads so much because he's like a 80s shredder. You know, he's the type of guy that he, like, when we were growing up, Malmsteen was like his idol. That's it. This, you know, basically this is the alpha and that's the omega, and this is the guys I listen to. And the music that I write, I mean, you've heard a couple things, I think. So imagine him trying to shred on top of my music. And I'm like, dude, this is a 6/4 soft ballad. What are you doing? It's like, no, dude, shut up. Slow down. It was so difficult. I felt sometimes like I was the one putting on the brakes. So, and so I'm projecting right now. I'm saying, don't you have that? Don't you have this cello player that doesn't want to shut up?
So my cellist, he always forgets that songs have lyrics. So for him, a song could be really boring.
I knew it.
Like he's like, oh, I mean, this song is so boring. And then sometimes he'll like stop and listen to the story. He's like, I always forget that songs have stories. I always forget. And so then every now and then, about once a year, he's like, oh, that's a nice story, Uncle Dan. So it's so funny though, but he gets so bored. He actually fell asleep one time in the gig.
No.
Because I'm just like, he just like, I looked over and his eyes were closed and he was just, it was so funny.
And what did you do? You poured water on him, right? That's protocol. Did you pour water on him? It's your nephew. You can do it. You can do it. He can't punch you. It's your nephew.
That's right. That's right. I'm your uncle.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, listen, I can disrespect you, but you can't disrespect me. There's an age thing, you know, seniority or whatever, and that's the way it works. So, well, now that you talked about stories, tell me how what is the stories all about? Like, because obviously I know a little bit. The people who are listening here, I'm pretty sure a few of them are already your fans. I know LL Farms really enjoys your music, but what is it that makes you become a storyteller in your view? Obviously, I have my answer, but what makes you have the necessity, the hunger to tell stories?
Boy, I don't know how to. That's a hard one to answer. So,
but that's the one for 10 points.
Like, where do they come from, or like what makes me want to tell the stories?
Yeah, what makes you want to tell? Like, what do you feel? Like, do you wake up one day and it's like, hey, listen, if I don't tell a story today, I'm probably just gonna, you know what I mean, like eat 10,000 pounds of chocolate and give myself a sugar coma. I mean, what do you feel?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean I think that you're working through all this. You know, life is, no matter how good it is, it's just hard, right? And so you're kind of working through all of it, and if you pick up a newspaper or you watch TV or anything, there's so many hard stories. And I guess that's personally my way of sort of processing all of these stories, writing about them, or like, and feeling like I have to just write. Otherwise, I'd probably go to therapy or something like that.
Exactly.
So it is kind of like that.
I see that you've been reading my blog, bro.
So that's what yeah. And so and what happens, and a lot of stories come from conversations, and so I'll just be talking to someone and be listening to what they're going through, and then something comes out of it. And I would have to say that probably most of these stories I'm kind of in there a little bit, but they're just about other people and other things that really move me. And I'm not that, sometimes I'll go see a singer-songwriter and they just write a bunch of stuff it's like they're journaling or something. Mm-hmm. And it seems like it gets kind of boring after a while if it's all about you, but like I love, I don't know, these kind of universal stories we can all relate to. There's a little bit of us in every one of these. And so those are the ones that really move me. But yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. It kind of feels like you have to, and I'll write in the middle of the night or the middle of the afternoon. Like it just, when it comes and you have to do it. And I don't know, I can't figure out the system. Like there's no system. Sometimes there'll be like 5 songs in a week and sometimes there won't be any for 2 months. And so it's very, very bizarre how it works.
So what I'm gathering here is that your songwriting comes from Fox News, right? Like
There you go.
If the news are very negative, then you write more. No, I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. You know what though? But I relate to that so much because I say that for me, music is the way that I process the world, process things that happen to other people and to myself. A lot of the times, I don't know what I'm feeling until I've written a song about it. Like I think I know the way I feel. Exactly, and it's almost like I think you're probably gonna say the same thing happens.
Thank you for saying that. You just said it better than I was. Yeah, that's actually kind of what I do. Come to think of it, yeah,
that's perfect. So let me
halfway through a song, I'll start crying, and I wasn't even that. Like then I'll figure it out. Like halfway through, I'll be like, it's really weird. I'm sitting here in a dark room, and I'm like being moved. I can't even really explain the feeling, but I just have it in the music. It's very strange.
That's awesome. I think that's why I connect to it, man. Like the song that you shared about your grandpa last week, it really touched me. I had one of those special grandfathers, so like it really hit home, which is why you got first place on my list. And of course, I'm biased, right? But everybody's biased, you know. So I'm like listening to that song, and I'm going like, shit, man, that's awesome. Yeah, because I always talk about legacy. I always talk about these things. I find them to be much more important than anything else. Like much more important than money, much more important than any kind of material possession. Legacy. You know, the examples that we leave behind, those footprints in the sand, as some philosophers and poets like to say. You know, so the fact that you recognize your grandpas and 20 years later, as you said, they still resonate with you. It was powerful. So I have to confess, I got like a little tear escape my face, and who cares if somebody judges me? And I'm like, man, that was awesome.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, it's strange because I'm shocked when I think that one grandpa's been gone for 20 years, the other one for about 12 years, and I feel like I just talked to them both yesterday, and both grandpas were amazing, and then you're just thinking, and I'm close to 40 now, so I'm thinking, man, what am I going to leave behind? Like I want. If I can just, leave behind half of what they left behind in that way, just that positivity through all the hardships. I mean, both my grandparents lived cruel, hard lives, but you would never know it. I didn't know it until I was older when I found out what they went through. Terrible family problems and poverty and all these problems. Like my life has been a million times better, but I had no idea. So
that's
really beautiful.
You know, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to show Krystle right here because a lot of people don't know. Krystle is a judge of the open mic, and she's actually an excellent singer too. But she's a badass writer. So if you ever want to be like, oh, today, you know what? I want to like just like. There's a post that Krystle made about her grandma, and it's amazing. It's amazing. She was a special lady. And to me, same thing we're talking about, Krystle. I'm of course I know that you agree with what we are saying because you immortalized your grandma on the blockchain, and that might be a first.
I think it might be. I don't like to tout firsts because there's so many fuckers on here doing different things. It's hard to keep track. But I thought, she's a generation that we're never going to get back. And the things that she experienced in her life, it was worth trying to immortalize that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you did the same thing for Grandpa, man, in a song. And that's badass. And that's why my first request, the first song, because we got to play music. We can talk and we can keep on talking and we can get all crazy on the conversations, but we got to play some music. So my first request is going to be the song you wrote for your grandfather. Is that cool?
That's cool. Let me get my banjo. I have to tune it up to the third capo while we're chatting, and then I have to down tune one of the strings here as well.
So this makes me ask you another question. Very important philosophical question. 4 strings or 5 strings?
5 strings.
5-string
banjo. I don't know much about the 4-string. It's more like Dixieland style, and you play it like a flat pick, like you're chording. And but I play 5-string banjo, and I got it in college, and I was hoping to learn how to play bluegrass style, and I did a little bit, but it never really stuck. And then it was clawhammer, and then that never really stuck. So I just ended up with like something I call the reverse claw hammer, and I don't know what it is, but it's kind of my own little way of playing when I play it.
Reverse claw hammer. I like that.
That's what I call it. Yeah. So yeah. But I kind of panicked when I saw on the on your post that something about 4-string and 5-string banjos. It's like, oh no, they've not gone to the right person. I'm sure there's someone out there that knows more about banjos than I do.
But Rondon is like, he's got like 2 PhDs on banjo. That's all he knows. He doesn't know anything else. He doesn't know anything about radio, doesn't understand cryptos, nothing. But he understands banjos. And that's why every time he does a pirate show is with banjo music.
Oh, okay.
Right? So am I not correct, guys? Am I not correct? Rondon is like super into banjos. You know, I have to say that one of those instruments that caught me later in life, because when I was younger, and I think it happens to a lot of dudes, right? I wanted like rock and I wanted distortion and all those things, right? And as I got older and I got a little more mellow and I started to understand the fragile emotions behind, you know, troubadours and you know, broken down songwriting, 3 chords and the truth kind of thing. All of a sudden, these instruments that before I saw like, oh, that's for old timers, became much more special to me. And I started enjoying not only banjo, of course, but mandolin. Like, I didn't like mandolin. Can you believe that? That's so stupid. Mandolin is such a beautiful instrument.
Beautiful, yeah.
And recently I've gotten into listening to harp, and it's partially to do with Yidneth, because she's actually listening in the audience right now. But harp is such a beautiful instrument, man. It's like, it's one of those things that you just, you know, a beautiful voice and a harp, and that's it. Like, you need nothing else, you know?
Yeah.
And not to say I don't like well-produced music. Of course I do. But sometimes just 2 chords and the truth, 3 chords and the truth, and you got me, man. Yeah, we're talking about you. I'm shilling you a little bit again. Yidnet is yes, you.
Yeah, if I go to if I go to a show and I can't hear any of the words, if it's just a bunch of, you know, volume, even if it sounds great, but if it's just a bunch of noise, it just drives me crazy. I want to hear what they're saying. So I'd much rather go to a simple show with just a couple of instruments.
I'm not a big fan of the just thrashing noise, but I love it when you can get really heavy, full-on music that's actually structured well and has trippy harmonies and stuff through it. I like the weird juxtapositions of sounds.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. But I guess what we're more referring to is when the emphasis is on the complications of the music, you know, the 10,000 instruments doing 10,000 things, or how virtuoso somebody can be, and not so much on the message of the song. And the message not necessarily only lyrics. It could be there's instrumentals that have made me cry.
Yeah.
But like, I've never been moved by technicality. You know, it's not like all of a sudden somebody does like arpeggios at 420 BPM and I'm crying, going like, oh my god, dude. It's never happened. You know, but I've heard somebody grab a guitar, barely chord properly, you know, buzz a little bit, and with the voice it seems all broken, and got me all emotional. And so I'll take the latter every single day, you know.
Yeah. I'm with you. I have to say, I think we're kind of thinking we're on the same wavelength there. So I'm with you. Yeah.
You sound like you're ready to go. You sound like you want to banjo.
I'm ready. Yeah, I want to do it. I should give you a little context for this song. There's a middle line that talks about my grandpa being shot, and when I was the year I was born, he was shot in an armed robbery, and my father was there as well. They were helping somebody move, and some people came up wanting to get some money from them. Shot my grandpa twice through the belly, and then tried to shoot my dad, and the gun misfired or didn't go off, and then my dad got it from him and tossed the gun away, and so that's what this middle verse refers to as well. And that was one of many mishaps my grandpa had. That was one of the biggest ones, but he had lots of
that's freaking big, though, I have to say.
So that's
that line made me read twice. I read all the lyrics, by the way, original music. I'm big into lyrics. So I had to read that twice because I wanted to know if you were being metaphorical, and of course you were not.
Yeah, it's the real deal. And like, I still have his voice in my head every time I ask him how he's doing. And he took care of my grandmother for years. She had Alzheimer's for years. He'd always say, I can't complain, Dan, can't complain. He'd always say that. So that's how this whole
Love
song
the older
started.
generation for that.
Yeah. So it was beautiful, beautiful thing. So I try to emulate it, but I don't know. So all right, you ready for it?
Go for it, bro.
When I'd ask you how you were doing, you say I can't complain, but I know you would walk through the darkness. I know you tasted pain, and your mother, she left the earth. She says you came to be, and the love of your life sailed away across the sea. Now, Papa, you've been gone way too long. Papa, you've been gone way too long. When the good Lord took you, he left us this song. Papa, you've been gone way too long. You were shot down in an alley and left there to die, staring up in the heavens and never asking why. You said I may not have the answers and I can't be enraged, but I've been free from life's sorrow. I've been free from this cage. Yes, I have. Now, Papa, you've been gone way too long. Oh, Papa, you've been gone way too long. When the good Lord took you, he left us this song. Papa, you've been gone way too long. So it's a privilege to have known you, and I'm thankful just to see how those generations, oh, they follow. And I'm thankful just to be. Oh, now, Papa, you've been gone way too long. Papa, you've been gone way too long. When the good Lord took you, he left us this song. Papa, you've been gone way too long. Oh, Papa, you've been gone way too long. Oh, Papa, you've been gone way too long. When the good Lord took you, he left us this song. Papa, you've been gone way too long.
Man, it takes me a second to unmute.
Holy hell!
Don't misinterpret my silence. It's by the way, I mean, I heard this song already like 10 times this week, and it still kind of hits me.
It's a beautiful song, man. Great lyric. Really great lyric. I'm all about the lyrics, people.
Well, thanks.
That's
No
awesome.
worries.
Yeah.
I love that your music seems to really always convey a story. Not all music does. Like, stuff gets said that could be portrayed as a story, but it's not telling you anything, if you know what I mean. I really like songs that actually take you on a journey and impart wisdom. And I can't remember the exact line. I should click the link so I could find it. But the line about the generations to follow. I was like, 100% yes.
You see why it was my number one choice this week, Krystle? You see?
Yeah, I get it. It's brilliant.
Well, thanks. Yeah. Well, I actually, we had a little family reunion this last August, and I looked around at all of his children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, and everyone has in my family, like, it isn't like we're like successful in terms of money and all of that, but there's just so much love. Like there's just like love always prevails, and we all have our weaknesses and our problems, but that's one thing I really like. He left that legacy behind, and it's really touching. And so we have our differences, but we always work through them.
To me, that's success, bro. Like when people talk about success, they always refer to as if somehow, some way connected to like money, and it's not. You could be a millionaire. Right. People have heard me say this so many times. You could be a millionaire and be miserable. Like money's just a tool. It's almost like somebody saying, you know what you need in life? You need a lot of hammers. No, I mean it works for certain situations. It's just a tool. Like I would rather have a beautiful family 10 times over, with a bank account that it's I'm doing it, it's happening, right? But that have the opposite, which is to have millions of dollars in the bank and don't have a heart, don't have somebody to share with. And I know people in my life, like people that have so much money, they don't know what to do with it, and they're miserable. So when people tell me, blah, blah, it's money, but it's like, yeah, I get it. Sometimes I get anxious too, especially us musicians, like we make it almost as a joke, like, oh, you're not a true musician unless you're struggling. Because if you're not struggling, you can't write. Well, yeah, we make it almost as a joke. But the truth of the matter is that a musician collects other types of wealth. It collects, emotional wealth. It collects relationships. It collects so many things. And all these events that happen around us, all these people that touch our lives, become the muses of the things that we write. So, like, imagine if everything was solved. If you had nothing to worry about. If you had nothing to fight for, nothing to work forward to, what would you be singing about? Nothing. Like, I don't know. And I'm getting all crazy right now talking about this stuff.
But it's true. Like I could go on for hours about all my grandparents, but I watched my grandparents live into the 90s on the other side, my mom's side, and I watched their lives, and they had like all this success as well, like career wise, but they were beautiful people who also focused on their family. And I watched their lives. I watched the world get smaller and smaller and smaller until it was just family. Like we would go visit my grandma, and there was someone there with her every day. In her life, like all the events, all the successes, none of that mattered. It was just she was surrounded by family, and you just watch. It's just so amazing. It just it's like the whole cycle of life. You start off like a baby and you end like a baby, kind of. And I think about that all the time. So yeah, I'm with you.
It's almost gonna sound like I'm putting the situation kind of down, but my attempt is just to add a little bit of lighten the mood a second. Have you ever heard? It's almost like a joke, but it's kind of true. Of like what it means, what success means at different stages of your life. Not that I remember the whole thing, but it's almost like when you're like 3, it's not to crap your pants. When you're like 7, it's to have friends. Have you ever heard that one? It's super funny. And
it sounds familiar, but I don't remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the whole idea of the little kind of joke / thought / little meditation, really, because it's you think about it and it's all true, is that it's exactly depicting the cycle. Because at the very beginning, like, oh yeah, I'm successful. I'm 3 years old. I'm not pooping my pants anymore. That's success. And then all of a sudden, when you're 40, 50, it is to have money, to have a house, all these things. And then by the time you become old, you go back to be in your 80s. The success is to still have friends. To be in your 90s, success is to not poop your pants. You're back into the cycle, and it's just exactly what you said. It's kind of like a joke, but at the same time, it's so true, because it's such a perspective thing. It's where you are right now in your life. You have to really redefine what success means. Almost I wouldn't say daily, but I guess in eras. What does it mean success right now? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean the same thing it did 10 years ago. I can guarantee it. And me and you are not buds. I mean, we are right now officially, by the way. I just put you in the category. But I am sure 10 years ago, your definition of success was very different.
Yeah.
And it will be different again 10 years from now.
Yep, for sure. Actually, okay, I'm going to get serious again, if you don't mind. You triggered another story. So my other grandpa, who was always there for me my whole life, when he was in his early 90s, I was visiting him, and I was helping him go to the bathroom, helping take him to the restroom, and he stumbled and collapsed in my arms. And it was the first time that I was ever able to actually do anything for him, really. I mean, really to do anything for him. My grandmother, they're always giving their whole lives. And she was so apologetic. She said, I'm so sorry you had to see this. And I thought, sorry, like this is finally, I did something. Like I was finally there. When you were there for the last 20 some years, for the first time I was there, I don't know. And it just thought about that. Like, I don't know. It just, whatever you said kind of triggered that memory. And that's one of the best moments of my life, actually. I can point to like less than 10 things, and that's on the list, the top 10 moments of my life. That little moment with him.
It's a beautiful memory.
Ah man, you're getting me all like right now I'm choking a little bit.
You could cry.
No, you know what though, because it also reminds me of Grandpa. Like my grandpa was the same thing. My grandpa put this whole family on the shoulders, and when he wasn't doing well, for the first time ever, because he always provided. He was never provided to. I gave him $300 on a trip. I went to go see him, and they were struggling to pay the bills, and I gave him $300, and when I gave it to him, I could see it in his face how he was like, no, it's supposed to be the other way around. And I said something similar to him. I said, okay, like allow me to do this for you this one time. And it was hard. It was like just like what you're saying right now. It almost felt like at that point in time he felt he let me down, and of course that never happened. But maybe I'll be the same way. Maybe when I'm an old guy, maybe and not this, I don't have any children, but maybe my nieces or whatever. I'll be like, if they try to take care of me, I'll be like, no, it's supposed to be the other way around. Maybe I'll be the same. You said that. I reminded you of your grandpa. Now you said that. You reminded me of mine, and now we're on the spiral of sharing vulnerable memories. Which
you're making me all emo.
Yeah, we're getting all emo.
What's your comment
Krystle,
there?
save it.
Oh,
Look,
man.
Listen, but no, Daniel. Let's talk about something now, because it's your fault. Okay, we're here. It's your fault, but it's great. You said something earlier to me. You said, was it to me or to Krystle? Maybe it was to Krystle. That you find it kind of interesting how people here get to be all like vulnerable and emotional and share stuff. Like,
yeah, I'm amazed. I've never heard radio like this.
I have to agree.
And now I'm doing it.
Now
I'm
you're
really
doing
amazed. I'm like, how do these guys do this?
In.
How do they do this? They're so open in front of people. Because I'm still having a hard time with the whole public-private thing. I'm close to 40, so the whole thing is weird for me to have your life online. I'm still having a hard time with it a bit. It's so anyway, but here I am. So you all are amazing.
The thing about that, bro, and this is just my opinion, and you can take it for whatever that means. But for the longest time in my life, I was this guy that tried to protect my pride, going like, I'm supposed to be a man, so I don't cry and I don't all these things and all that. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about me, by the way. And I realized that in this weird little quest to protect my pride, to not show that side of me, the one that cries, the one that loves, to show those things, there was no price at the end if I didn't. So it's not like I would protect this entity, right? This idea of me that I made, and I would protect him by all means, pretending not to cry, pretending not to feel, pretending that everything's fine every single day, as if one day when I'm an old man and I'm sitting on my or I'm laying on my bed and it's time to call the quits, somebody's gonna show up with a trophy. It's gonna say, "Hey, Meno, remember all those times and all those years that you left everything inside and you pretended everything was cool? Well, here's a trophy. Good job. You did amazing." That's not going to happen. So what price am I waiting for? What is on the other side of such a quest of self-defense against who that I need to put so much effort into it? You know what I mean? So once that clicked, I was like, and I don't like to cuss too much. I do every now and then, especially if I'm making a point. That's when I said, fuck it. I don't care. It's like if I love somebody, if I tell somebody, hey, I love you, I think you're amazing, and they get uncomfortable with that, they go like, oh my God, I don't know what to do, man. Like all of a sudden this guy started being so friendly. That's their problem, not mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like you have to, in that sense, you sound kind of cocky. It's like, if I am sharing something of my own, if I am sharing something that feels special to me, and that person is uncomfortable, and that's their problem, not mine. And all of a sudden, I was able to write these songs, same what you do.
Yeah.
And explore an emotion that I was like, well, I'm supposed to be a tough dude. Like, why am I talking about, this, what is this? Like, being all sentimental. No, I allowed it because it was part of me.
Yeah. Yeah. There's still that, you have to just like, oh man, I remember when I first started performing, I mean, just being so nervous about that. Like, do I really want to put this out there? Like, reveal a little bit what's inside. And man, I can still like feel that moment of just the trembling and sweating profusely. But man, you just brought it all back a little bit as well. And there's times when it still hits, that there's something that's really, 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 it really reveals. It is hard. And then I have a hard time, with certain people I know as well, perhaps, if they're in the audience. So yeah, it still comes through sometimes. Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. I mean, I can tell you, as somebody who has listened to your art, who has listened to your soul, really. These things, it's almost as if they provide some sort of emotional service. Like, I got Nathan's right now in the audience, so I'm going to show him a little bit. I think Nathan's a beautiful human being. I love the guy. And the other day he shared this song, and I don't know if you heard it. It's an amazing tune. And if you haven't heard it, do yourself a favor, and after the show, obviously not right now because we're having this conversation,
right?
But go listen to it. And it's such a powerful freaking song, such an emotional song, that it is impossible not to cry. Impossible. Like, if you don't get emotional, you're broken, right? Mm-hmm. But it's almost like if some sort of service. I don't know how else to describe it, because in those moments of deep reflection, there is a reconnection, a rebalancing of oneself, and you find yourself feeling grateful yet again. And it's not that something all of a sudden happened, like all of a sudden the sun came out and rainbows, or all of a sudden some money showed up in your bank account. It's almost like a opening of the eyes of like, look at all these things that I still have, look at all these friends that I still have, that sometimes, and I say this with a little bit of guilt, a tiny bit, we take for granted. So it's almost like when an artist, when a troubadour decides to do that, decides to put themselves out there, they're providing a service. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody but me. But
well, you're talking about the song about Neil, right? His friend.
Yes.
Is that the one? Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. And and probably like his friend. I mean, we've all known that feeling, or maybe like right away I started thinking about my friends that have gone through, like one of my good friends tried to kill himself and literally the rope broke, and he's alive to tell about it. And so, yeah, I mean, that song is just, again, it's like this, we all know this feeling or know someone who's gone through this. It's almost, I can't even talk about it.
Yeah, it kind of hits you in the feels. I was under the suspicion today, I have to confess, because of your writing and the stuff that I pay attention to that stuff. Same thing with the Jailbird song, which is actually the one I'm going to request next. It's like I had this thing that behind the beard and the bear looking, man, there was this, the person I'm talking to right now. And so I'm like, what's going to happen today? Here's what's going to happen today. We're going to talk about these things, and we're going to get really emotional, and it's going to be okay. Because this is a safe space, And I mean that not in an SJW kind of way. It's just that every single person in here is strong enough to be weak enough to admit that they feel too. You know what I mean? And I think that's what makes MSP special. And that's why I call this my digital home. So...
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's... Well, yeah, I don't want to say anything more about this because we're getting so sad. I'm like your saddest person you've ever had on. Because I can go down the hole even more.
We always flip it around. Don't worry, bro. We always flip it around.
All right.
But listen, no, here's what we're going to do right now. You're like, okay, composure. You're gonna be like that comedian pretending to be Donald Trump saying somber. Listen.
Yeah.
Why don't we do Jailbird? But tell a little bit about that story, because I love that freaking story, and I know it's emotional too. But fuck it, who cares? It's a beautiful.
No,
song.
yeah, that's beautiful.
I love this song.
Yes, music is therapy. We're just going through therapy right now. You know, I think she's gone, but she's gone. We had Uniwisp a second ago. She has a show called Emotion Integration, which is actually one of my favorite shows on MSP. I have to confess, because the whole show is about not negating everything that you feel and everything like envy, anger, and all that stuff, and the conversations that we tend to have in that show get so deep. Like I sometimes I write things so long that I'm like, oh, I'm probably, because I'm not talking, I'm audience, but yeah, I would say it's okay. What we're doing right now, just like Nathan said, is therapy. This is not, nobody's gonna walk out of here saying, you know what I did last night. Here's what I did, man. I listened to Daniel and Meno and Krystle, and I'm so depressed. The opposite. People are going to walk out of here inspired. You watch. Well, walk figuratively, cool. Right? Because nobody's walking right now. We're all sitting in the field. You know what I mean. All right.
Yeah.
Introduce this song and go for it, bro.
At one point when I was teaching, I taught in a prison, and one of my students came in with a bird that he had saved from the prison yard. It was a little sparrow. It was the last bird left in the nest. Another prisoner was stomping these little birds to death, and he grabbed the thing, took it back to his cell, and raised it. And he actually knew that he was leaving, though. He would be getting out of prison, and so he thought, well, this little bird can't survive without me. So he fed it live bugs. He brought in live bugs, and he kind of trained it to kind of hunt these little bugs. And then he had someone sneak it out to let it go, to set it free. But then it came back into the prison yard looking for him. And then he realized, wow, this little bird, she can't live without me. So he had someone else sneak it out. The plan was that someone else was going to sneak it out, then drive it to his mother's house. So when he got out of prison, as far as I know, he had a reunion with her, and her name was Harriet. And the thing is, though, he had to keep this little bird as a secret, because you can't have any live animals in prison. It was considered to be contraband. So he had a whole system, a whole network of other guys that would help him keep the bird hidden, and they would put the little bird in their front pockets and stuff and hide it from the prison guards. So it was, so he told me this real matter-of-factly, and I was pretty amazed. And so then I went home and wrote this song. So yeah, that's how this song came to be. So let me get my headphones adjusted here with my harmonica, which is a little bit confusing. Real quickly. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, go hard.
Okay, here we go. Oh, Harriet, I need you so. Before we met, time moved too slow. But if they ask, you don't exist. It's gonna have to be like this, 'cause what we got is forbidden, and we can never tell. We can never tell. And for now, we'll keep on living in this living hell, in this living hell. Oh, 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 They'll wring your neck until you're dead. they'll say I'm crazy in the head. And if I am, then that's okay. It's gonna have to be this way, 'cause what we got is forbidden, and we can never tell. We can never tell. And for now, we'll keep on living in this living hell, in this living hell. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, Harry, I'll miss you so. But the time has come for you to go. We'll meet again in clear skies, away from all these prying eyes. And what we had was forbidden, and we could never tell. We could never tell. And for now, I'll keep on living in this living hell, in this living hell. Oh, 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 oh.
That is
song,
just brilliant. I can never get enough of that song, man.
That's the song that made me become a fan of your art, brother. Like the day I heard that song, you were my number one that week too. I'm pretty sure.
I can't get over it. I love that song. It sounds so freaking amazing, and it's so damn catchy. Yeah, I was singing along with it. I couldn't help it.
Yeah, I sing along with it too. I always like, especially like well, we got is forgiven. That part, it's impossible for me not to sing. I can't just not do it.
Same, I know, right? Like that's exactly where it like sucked me into. I know this bit. I know it. I can do it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, it's.
How old is this song, Daniel? Because you keep on every time you make a post, you say, "Oh, this song I wrote like so many years ago." How old is this one?
Oh, this song is probably. This one's a little older. I've not recorded it yet officially. I don't have like an official recording, but I think I wrote this 6-7 years ago. Yeah, I have a live vision with part of my band on YouTube, but or not DTube. Actually, it's on DTube. Come to think of it, but it'll be in the next album. So our plan is to do another band album this year. So yeah.
You know, I've been brainstorming this evil plan. Like we're not there right now, but honestly, we could do it. I mean, we could. But I just want to make sure that we don't, that we don't run out of funding if we give it a go. But I've been having this idea of doing like a massive collab between musicians on Steam, and I'm kind of revealing some of my plans right now. But it's okay. It's okay. You can hear all about it because we have like a bunch of people on here that are really good at different things. Like my brother Pechi, he's a guitar player, but he does really good arrangements. Hector, which is Yitna's husband, which is he listening? No, he's not here. He's like a mixing engineer ninja. Global does production too. Like there's a bunch of people that are either they're really good at one instrument or they know different aspects or steps of producing. And I was thinking like, it'd be amazing if we come up with the idea of producing one song, and we make like a team of people. So this is to say. Let's say that we get somebody to brainstorm how the song is going to be, do the rough production, and then we assign, okay, for this one we're going to need a bass player who's the best bass player we can get for this one's going to be this guy, blah 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 blah, and every single person would contribute with posts to their track towards the end result, and then the engineer producer will be adding them and then sharing the final result. It would be an amazing
awesome idea.
Yeah, I think one day we're gonna do it. But you know what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to when we pull it off, everybody who contributes, I want to be able to compensate them, because I don't want to be like, hey, listen, I know you spent like 10 hours working on this track. Here you go, 2 SBD. You know, I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that everybody walks away thinking, you know, it was awesome. We had an amazing result, and that's not to say that some people wouldn't do it now.
Right.
I think they would, but it's almost like I feel that I would be doing right by them if I make sure everybody gets a good piece of the cake. You know what I mean? So that's something for the future. One day we might.
Great. I think I think some. You know, I feel like this is just the beginning of some of this collaboration that's been going on with open mic and all this stuff. There's so many cool projects already happening, but this could be the next level. I think it's
Absolutely, yeah, fully.
So with that question, now that you use the word collaboration because you triggered this, yeah, you said it. You did a collaboration with Ben Lee that was pretty awesome.
Fully.
How did that happen?
Yeah, we did two. We did one of his and one of mine. So it was his idea. So we've been going back and forth on email for a couple of months now. For different. Actually, I'm going to do a show with him. He's coming to Ohio in April, and we're going to do a show together, like in real life. It was be a real life show. So yeah,
hell yes.
I'm opening up for his Radner and Lee duo. So that's pretty cool.
Oh fuck yeah, that's brilliant, man! Congratulations.
Yeah. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Make sure you take some cake for Ben Lee.
Some cake.
Yeah, it's about
right.
The Australians do that. Like if you don't have cake for somebody in Australia, it's offensive.
What? I don't even eat cake.
Meno's just like set me up. Yeah,
I've been lied to. We even have.
I think it's just me. I just don't eat cake. Maybe I'm the weird one.
No, Krystle, I don't believe you. You're gonna tell me you really don't eat cake? I've never met somebody who doesn't eat cake.
Yeah. Oh, I really don't like cake. No, it's dry and floury and. Bleh.
What?
Yeah, really don't. I'm sorry.
Look at that. That's vegan cake. For those who are listening to the recording, there's a banana with a candle stuck in it right now. It doesn't show on the recording for some reason. I have no idea. Maybe it's something that I'm not doing right, but pictures don't show on the recording. It's terrible.
That's amazing. That's just like right then you pop that picture in there. Anyway, I'm just saying it. so yeah.
So did you know Ben before Steam It, or it just kind of happened one day? He gave you an upvote, you gave him an upvote, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I noticed your upvote." "Oh yeah, I noticed yours too," and you guys started chatting. How did it happen?
Well, what happened was when I first joined Steam It was late December, and I was on there for I don't know how long, a few weeks, and then I saw this guy Ben Lee, who posted something like, "Hey, do you know where to put music on? Where do people put music on Steam It?" And I didn't know who he was. I just said, "Hey, I think you put it on D-Sound," and kind of had a little interaction with him. But the reason I interacted with him is because I actually thought, oh, there's a name that I know. Like there's a real name. I'm not used to all the fake names. And so I was like, hey, I'm Daniel Dye Music. That's Ben Lee Music. I'll talk to this guy. So I was like, hey. And then we had a little interaction through email, and I thought, I'm going to look this guy's music up. And then I realized that I knew his music, which was really surreal. Like, oh, yeah, I know this guy. So that was kind of cool. So, so we didn't know each other at all, but met through Steam It. So, and then I went down a Ben Lee Spyro, a good Spyro. I just, on YouTube. And I said, hey, I told him that. I was like, hey, I just spent a lot of time listening to your stuff. And he's like, well, there's 25 years of it. So there's a lot. So he's got some gems in there. Yeah.
I did an intro post for him because I kind of maybe fangirled out a little bit as an Aussie, seeing Ben Lee on the platform. I may have
Yeah.
lost my shit a little bit. And yeah, I can attest there is a hell of a lot of content out there. And when I was trying to go through it all to find the best, it's like, how can you pick every song? Like, there's too many songs to fit in one post. So I really struggled trying to come up with decisions on what ones to play. And then I'm like, oh no, but I really got to put this one in. And I just found myself adding more and more of his songs and stuff to the list because it was just, it had to be shared, had to be on the blockchain, and now it is. Haha.
Yeah, and it's like anything, like when you hear someone's hits, they're good, but then when you dig deeper, you're like, well,
Oh,
my
that's
goodness,
like
these other songs are much better than the hits. You know, it kind of is like that, you know. So it's kind of a cool
rule.
discovery.
Why is that?
Yeah.
I have no idea, but it happens almost with no exception. Well, maybe one,
Yeah.
maybe Pearl Jam, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's quite a few songs that of them that what with that 10 album. No, I'm digressing. Never mind. But 99.9% of the time is the case. Whatever the radio is playing is it's like 10% of what they can do.
Yeah, it's so weird. But the other thing is that my sister was like, hey, you know who Ben Lee is? That was kind of cool. Like she's always up on everything, and so she remembers like everything about him back when, probably like Krystle, like you, like she was like, oh, he dated Claire Danes and all this stuff. Like she was up on all this stuff. Like he was in People magazine all the time and all this stuff. It was kind of funny.
It cracked me up because there was a photo he put up where Claire Danes was in there, and someone's like, oh my god, you know Claire Danes? I'm like, pretty sure they dated people.
Yeah.
Not that I'm creepy and knowing this shit.
Well, you did fangirl quite a bit there, Krystle. I remember.
I did. I'm trying to calm the fuck down because I look dodgy.
Dodgy.
That's it is cool.
I grew up listening to his music. You know, I never contemplated meeting him. I never thought I would interact with him, let alone personally chat with him in messages and get him on a radio show. He's not what you expect from someone at his level, and he writes brilliant music, and I love the lyrics. I'm all about the lyrics, people. That's where the emotion is for me, and he captures moments perfectly.
Well, you said something, Daniel, that now we're going to have to go back there because I can't just let you say that and not elaborate more. You said that you believe that the nicknames, whatnot, are a way to maybe distance yourself, or you're not... You don't feel...
I didn't know... For some reason, he stood out to me because there's a name like mine. I'm Daniel Dye Music. There's Ben Lee Music. And for some reason, like, you know, when you're trying to like figure out who's who, I was drawn to that. Like, oh, there's someone's, and then also, I don't know why. That was the reason. There were a bunch of people on my thread, and I just started like going through and like clicking on people's profiles to see who they were. And he's the first one I went to because I was like looking at all these names and like, oh, there's a name there's a real name. So I don't know why. It just does. And then he was out there. I hear you.
It's not like I don't see your point. I totally do. I had a kind of a surreal experience this weekend, right? Because you might know this, but there's a bunch of MSP people that came down to Florida, right? Among them, Aggroed, which is actually I think he's listening. I don't know if he's sleep potatoing right now, but like Crimson was down here. I actually met Neg, which is also, and his wife Morrow, and Claiborne. I actually met quite a few people from MSP in 2 days. Scaredy Cat and Cubby. And if you would have asked me 3 or 4 months ago if I believed that my friendships online were real, I would probably use a language in a way that I would say, well, yeah, they're like my friends. So these people I talk to, but they're not my friends.
Yeah.
But especially after this weekend, like this whole thing has changed in my mind. Like, because I I already cared. Like this weird avatar right here of something that looks like a weird angel. You know, two little icons down from the MSP Waves radio bot. I care about that dude. I care what happens to him. And regardless that I don't know his name, it's not relevant to me. You see what I mean? Because he will always be, he is a real human being. Yeah, he has a nickname, and I may not ever know his last name, but that's irrelevant because I do know the human being behind the nickname. So I made this like, I guess you could say sort of decision in the last few days to say to myself, I'm going to change my language. I'm not going to say things like, oh, in real life, you know, when I'm talking to you and all of a sudden you tell me, oh, so what do you do? Well, in real life, you know, I tame whales. That's what I do. No, what's not real about this? What's not real about this conversation you and me are having? See what I mean?
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because I spent a weekend in a cabin recording with my band and including some other friends that do some videography for me who are also on Steemit. And I spent the weekend referring to them by their Steemit handles instead of their real names. Like it was the opposite. I was like, hey, AWeber. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Hey, we anyway, and then there's J-Roo. Hey, J-Roo. But his name is Drew, his real name. It was so funny. And then we were calling another friend of theirs, I was calling him Yum Yum because his name is Yum Yum Seth here on Steemit. So it's actually for me, like in 2 months, it switched from like that to like now I'm forgetting what is going on. I'm calling Seth Yum Yum, and it's ridiculous.
I call my partner Osbit, so okay. I fully feel you there. It's not just you. I'm so used to referring to him, so others know who I'm talking about, and I've actually gone, "Oi, Osbit," and I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
Have you ever thought of the possibility of, obviously not every single case, and people do it as a joke, but have you ever thought of the possibility that sometimes nicknames have some sort of self-identifier that speaks a lot more of the emotional core of that person than say the real name? And I say this because of this. Maybe I'll get in trouble for this. I don't think I will. Maybe I'll get in trouble. But Crimson, right? Crimson, everybody loves Crimson. Crimson's awesome. She has the metal show on Thursdays and all that stuff. And I'm sure you've talked to her before. Krystle's like Krystle and Crimson have known forever. I mean, everybody knows who Crimson is. Well, her real name is Gina. I will never call her Gina. It doesn't matter what happened. I would never call her Gina. Not because there's something wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that to me, the way I identify her, and the name that speaks a lot more for the person I know, it's not Gina. Now, this is to say, my nickname, Meno, right, it's not something I made up. It's not like all of a sudden I'm making a Steemit account and I'm like, all right, so what do I do? Well, I'm not going to put my name because if I put my name, then people are going to find out. And then if they find out who I am, then they're going to come. And no, I've been called Meno 20-something years. You know?
That's cool.
So, and there's a funny story to it. I think I don't know if I've told you before, Krystle, but...
I don't think I have heard it.
Well, the story goes kind of like this. I'll do it quick because I think some people have heard me say before. In South America, people, when you go to high school, and we call high school when you turn 12, 13, people call you by your last name. So my last name is Mena, M-E-N-A, Mena, right? Now, and teachers do that. Not so much your friends. But for some reason, after a little while, your friends also start calling you by your last name. It's almost as if they hear the teacher say, Mr. Mena, Señor Mena, and all of a sudden it's like, no, I got to, and everybody starts saying Mena. Well, my first friend in high school, I got put in on an advanced English class, right? So, and I didn't know anybody in there except for one guy, and I didn't like him. And then I met another friend that was from another school, and, you know, we were like the only two nerds that related to each other. I think he liked the same things I do, whatever, and he was like my first friend. He tells me on the second or third day, he says to me, hey, listen, I'm not going to call you Mena anymore. I hope you don't mind. And I said, sure. It's like, because they're going to think we're gay or something. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, because Mena sounds a lot like Nena, which means baby girl. Like, it sounds very close. So when he would say Mena, he would notice, according to him, that some girls would turn around thinking that we were doing something weird. So he's like, no. So I'm going to switch it to Meno. I'm going to put a no at the end. Do you mind? And I'm like, no, whatever. And then everybody assumed that was my name. And then that's it. So when I started to
That
do
is
music,
hilarious.
yeah, when I started to do music, that's what I used. When I started to, I got to make an email account. Oh, what am I going to do? No, it became my default. Like, it's everything. I think if I ever, as a matter of fact, my company is called Meno. And like, everything is Meno. Just so to say, my name is Andres, by the way. But to say Meno to me, it's not you using something I use to hide myself. It's quite the opposite. It's the one thing that, to me, identifies me a lot more.
Wow.
It's just insane because I don't know if I can ever call you Andres. Like, I can't. I don't think of your name like that. It's Meno. It's always been Meno. And I guess I'm kind of happy that I chose Krystle for that reason.
Yeah, so
now when you got together, Meno, with everyone in Florida, did you say aggroed? Did you say, hey, aggroed? So you didn't, all just whatever people's handle was, that's what you did the whole time.
Yeah. Even if they were to tell me, hey, no, listen, call me Justin or whatever, I would be like, no, Agro, that's your name.
Okay.
That's not his name, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's comfortable with me sharing the name, so I won't.
I think Aggroed has come out with his name now, but honestly, I can't remember it. He will always be Aggroed in my mind.
Yeah, it doesn't, or Skanky J, whatever he wants to be. It doesn't matter. I know the person, so to me that's more important than this thing that's written on a piece of paper in some government document. And it's not that I'm reaching for my tinfoil hat or nothing. It's just that my view of people is a lot more than the name. Yeah, the name, I use it so that they know I'm talking to them. But if Nathan tomorrow was to tell me, hey, listen, from now on, I want to be called Didgeridoo, I'll be like, okay, I respect your choice. I'll call you Didgeridoo, and and that's it. It's irrelevant. I'm still, I still want to talk to him. He's still my friend.
How do I say your brother's name? Pitchy.
Well, I just call him Peachy now because Peachy. I can't say it properly, and I got sick of destroying his name. Oh wow, you did so much better than me.
Didgeridoo. That's actually pretty cool. Well, Daniel, let me ask you. Since obviously you play like folk, no, I wouldn't call your music folk. It is folkish, but it's to me it's more like troubadour stuff.
There's definitely a folk element, but yeah, it's more full on. And I suck at genres, people.
Yeah, me too.
And music like that can be hard to just pin down to one little focus.
Exactly. The thing, because when we put those labels, it's almost like we're limiting Daniel, right? It's like if tomorrow he uses an electric guitar, we're like, dude, that's not the label we gave you. Don't use an electric guitar. You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny to put labels on people because of it. But what I was going to ask you is this: do you explore outside of acoustic instruments? Do you ever reach out for, I don't know, like a piano, meaning electric piano or an electric guitar, or you feel at home with a guitar and a banjo?
Yeah, feel at home with a guitar and a banjo. I guess I have played electric guitar, messing around and stuff, but I just don't want to go out and buy more instruments, I guess. But
dude, what are you talking about? There's never such thing as too many instruments. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And then I've written maybe a few songs on the piano as well, but mostly I write them on the guitar or the banjo and just kind of stick there. I have played mandolin some and violin a little bit as well, but yeah, it's all, you see a theme there. It's all pretty much acoustic instruments. But I do think that we could use a little something more in our band sometimes, to pick it up, to have that, that festival live show, which, is still, we're not real lively without percussion. But anyway, yeah. But no, a long answer. I haven't really to speak of.
So I'm on this mission, man. I'm on this mission. I want to get them all, really. All of them.
Okay.
Like if I could, obviously I can't afford it right now, but if I could, I would have all of them. I'm really interested in instruments that have nothing to do with my culture, like like zitar, like laoud, like
there are some amazing instruments out there that are just not utilized by people nearly enough, and they create such unique, interesting, different sounds. I wish more people would incorporate
yeah. I
less
tried.
used instruments.
I tried playing didgeridoo, by the way. I told this to Nathan. I tried it, and I almost passed out, man. I was like, I was doing the thing because I don't know if you know this about didge, but you gotta do a technique called circular breathing, right? So it's like you fill your cheeks with air, right? And as you're compressing your cheeks and the air is coming out, you're breathing through the nose, and this process has to happen continuously so as to not kill the drone note, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I'm standing and I'm trying to do that, and I'm holding the. This is when I used to work at a music store. I used to be a manager at a music store, and I'm doing that, trying to do this thing, and I get the sound. And I'm like, oh, there it is, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden I got tipsy and I fell, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? I don't know. And so Nathan's telling me that I got, obviously it was way too big of a didgeridoo for a beginner, or maybe it's not for me. But I think the instrument's pretty awesome. It sounds amazing, and I don't know why, but I like music that has drone notes. And it's one of the reasons why I think I enjoy Middle Eastern stuff, even though it's completely outside of my culture. There's a lot of drone notes and those in between notes that it's almost like it's in tune, but it's not in tune. But I put the note in my head, and I have no idea what the scale is, but I like it.
There was also like instruments but played differently. I can't remember the username, but there's an open mic entrant. I believe he's from India, and he plays the violin, and just the sound he gets out of it is so different from Western culture violinists. And I'm like, same fucking instrument, completely different sound, like wow. And it really hits you in a profound way. I love the different tones and textures that different instruments can give you. And I think the reason didge works so well is because it also hits you at like a vibration level as well. Like you can feel the music as well as hear it.
There could be some truth to that. Maybe I don't know anything about this, and not to say that I can prove anything, but maybe a lower note has the ability to stimulate like something in your body, not necessarily the ears, because obviously there's certain sub-frequencies that we can't hear anymore. So maybe.
Well, think about the meditation sound, and you've basically got the beginning of a higher level didge sound. So I think that there's something about like the meditation, like I can't remember the term, it was like a sort of humming vibration that a lot of monks and stuff do. I think it's very similar to the sound and tone that you get out of a didge.
Possibly. So let me ask you another thing, Daniel, since we're talking about instruments and whatnot. Regarding your guitar, are you like a standard tuning kind of guy? Do you experiment? Do you go like, all right, today I'm going to tune it all crazy, or I'm going to do 432? Or just
I'm pretty much a standard. I'm a standard guy. I have to say that that's not my. I don't know my way around instruments as much as I should, and maybe that'll come one of these days. But yeah, I don't really experiment a whole lot. It's so funny because my band, they're all classically trained. They know music theory. They know everything.
You don't know. You don't know.
It's like they're speaking a different language. Not really, no. And it's embarrassing to say because I grew up in a musical family and we grew up singing together all the time. But I don't know. I kind of blanked out during all those classes and all those practices, and it just.
Well, don't feel alone. I'm with you on that side too. Only I can't play any instruments. I can only sing. So, like, I mean, I can, play a few chords and I can play a little bit of piano, but it's nowhere near actually performing a song or something. And I studied music theory for years. Most of that shit's gone, eh? It just does not stay in my brain. So, yeah, I feel ya. And, when you're talking to people like Meno and other open micers and stuff, and you hear some of the experience that these people have and the theory knowledge, you can't help but feel a little inadequate sometimes.
Don't say that, Chris. You know,
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the Beatles didn't know it very well either. So I
yeah.
always tell myself that, like, they didn't know how to read music.
I
so.
like that. I did not know. So excellent. I'm like the Beatles. I can work with that.
Yeah, Paul McCartney's bass line for Michelle is a bass line that you study. Like when you actually go into studying theory, is one of those bass lines as a bass player that you go like, okay, this is how he's walking the notes. He's doing a chromatic scale leading to the minor. All these things you study, and the dude had no freaking clue what he was doing. He was just feeling it.
Some people can tell by just, this sounds good. Okay, I'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love that natural talent.
But what's funny about that? It's like this is on my dad's side, right? My grandpa on my mother's side is the one that I told you, Krystle. He passed away a couple years ago. But my grandpa on my dad's side, he passed away when I was like 13, 14. So obviously I did get enough time to spend with him. He was also a really fun guy, and he was the musician. He was like the family's musician. He was a pianist. And he was an amazing musician, a really awesome singer. He had a beautiful tenor voice, even in his old age. And he knew nothing about theory, like nothing. So here I am. I'm like maybe 10 years old, 11 years old, and I'm trying to learn Guns N' Roses, right? And I'm asking my grandpa. I'm like, hey, can you tell me the chord? And he would just grab his little piano. He was already really ill. And he would do the chords, just listen to it once and do all the chords of the song. and then I would write down the notes, but I would ask him, it's like, okay, so what are you doing? It's like a B flat. And he would tell me, I don't know, son, just whatever that is. I don't know. Like he didn't know, but to him, it was almost like I'm asking you to draw squares and circles in a sequence. He could just hear it.
My best mate growing up, Rob, had a perfect ear, and he didn't play instruments like the guitar or anything. He was a drummer, but his family had a piano and we had a guitar, and when we'd lived together, he'd hear like a song he'd like, Tool or something, and he'd just sit down on the acoustic and he'd go through and he'd figure out where he had to put his hands to be able to play it. He could just figure out how a song was played by hearing it. And he wasn't proficient on instruments. And I'm just like, I could never understand how people can do that, especially with guitar. I have so much trouble with guitar. I don't know if it's a string instrument or what, but if I spend too much time trying to tell the difference between notes, they all just sort of blend together in my head. And I'm like, I can't hear the difference anymore. What the fuck?
You know, it's funny, Krystle. Have you ever talked to somebody with perfect pitch, and have you ever asked that person to describe notes? It's hilarious.
Rob definitely had perfect pitch, but I haven't asked him to describe it. But whenever I would go off, he'd just be like, "Shut the fuck up!" It's terrible. Like he couldn't take it. If it was off, it's like,
it's painful.
No, make it stop.
It's painful for them. It's painful. It's like when you have such a good ear, difference in notes are just like somebody with OCD seeing something out of place, you know. So it's painful for them. But as an experiment, guys, if you ever get a chance, okay, you meet somebody with perfect pitch, ask them to describe notes. Write that down, because you're gonna come up with something that sounds kind of like Deepak Chopra. And you will have no clue what they're talking about, because nobody knows what he's talking about. I'm talking about sounds. It's hilarious. It's like I think it was Elvis Costello that said talking about music is like dancing about architecture. Like it's really hard to do, even though that's kind of what we're doing right now. But specifically talking about notes, they'll say things like, "Well, here's what I hear. When you got an F, right? The F tends to be a little more yellow." Right? It's a little more yellow, and you can hear like a dash of brown, but it's towards the back. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's like someone with synesthesia trying to explain music. Actually, on that note, I think I was chatting with Jose the other day, and I think he was trying to tell me, because, we have a language barrier, so not 100%, but I think he was telling me that he sees colors when he plays music. So I think he actually has synesthesia with his music, and that's why he can create such beautiful music, because it's like a painting while he's playing. That to me is insane.
That is
I need
cool.
drugs so I can see that.
That is pretty cool. Daniel, speaking of paintings, this is also a good way to, or a good segue to go into another question. Do you do something else? Is there another creative side of you that you also do? Do you do painting? Do you do dancing? Is there something else that you do, or you kind of stick with music?
It's really weird. My other thing, when I'm not writing music, I'm obsessed with trees, like planting trees. So,
that's
like
a badass obsession. I love it.
So right now I have probably like 50 or 60 seedlings in my backyard. It's all frozen. There's snow out there now.
Oh.
But yeah, like when I see little trees in flower beds that are just growing up, like or wherever where I find them growing, I will take them home and put them in a pot and hope they survive so I can plant them somewhere. And so I didn't realize this till last year, when I'm not doing music, like I'm obsessed with trees. So it's kind of one or the other. So that's the other artistic. I'm a terrible at painting. I'm terrible at all of that. That's about it though. I love being in the woods. And
only Nathan can do all those things. Nathan is like a dancer. He's like a singer, an actor. He turns out he also paints and like if you see, draws really. If you see the stuff, you're like, what? It's like, dude, like if I see this dude have one more talent, we're gonna have to send some ninjas over there and take him down.
I have to say something else about Nathan that I've recently found out. I heard that he was Chook in Muriel's Wedding.
He was what?
He was a character in Muriel's Wedding called Chook, which is a pretty big Australian film, and I'm like, holy crap.
Oh.
I thought I'd seen you before, and that is probably where... yeah, but I hadn't realized that I'd seen anything he'd been in, and so then when I heard that, I'm like, what the fuck? It's a classic Australian movie.
Yeah.
All right.
Check that out.
Have to look that up.
Okay, so Daniel, me and you, man, we got to step up the game. So me and you, we're starting acting lessons next week. Right? And portraits. Right. We gotta make some posts with portraits. We can't stay behind, bro.
As long as they're stick figure portraits, I'll be okay.
You can do it. You can do it. I can do it. You can do it. We'll upvote each other. It's gonna be great. Let me ask you though, Daniel.
That's it. Those high quality posts.
Exactly. We just upvoted each other's stick figures.
Right. We're on our way. We're on our way, brother. To the top.
Let me ask you though, since we went into the subject, how did you find Steam? Like, how was it that you landed on here? Did a friend tell you about it? Did you like all of a sudden, work?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my so this guy that another niece married, he's been telling me about it for a long time, like for over a year, and I thought, oh man, another social media thing. Like I think I have 14 or 15 different places out there that I put music and try to interact with people. I was like, and I was burnt out. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I've known about it for a while, but then last fall, I thought, oh, I'm just going to go for this. And saw him over the holidays, talked to him about it. So it all started right at the end of the holiday season. And, but yeah, so it's kind of, now I'm thinking, man, I wish I would have done this a long time ago. But I guess now I'm glad I'm here now. I mean, I guess I can't think that way. So I'm glad to be here at this point.
You're not late at all, bro. You're not late.
So yeah. But so that's how I found out about it. And then in my little community here in Ohio, like the word is spreading. Like I have friends here from. It's interesting. Some of my friends or some of my friends. It's little by little by little. But now I know a lot of people personally now who are on Steemit, which is pretty cool. And we feel like we're part of some kind of like, it's funny because we converse with everyone and then we get in a corner and we just start talking and we know the same people. And it's just funny. It's by far the most exhilarating experience I've ever had online. There's no comparison really. The rest of them seem like a joke at this point.
Did you also betray your Facebook and never go back?
I still go back. I actually post I actually post my Steam stuff on Facebook now, and that's how
then you can be forgiven for that.
I have events on Facebook, so that's like my fans are following me there. So I'll post an event there, but I don't really, I'll just kind of post something on there and move on. I kind of resent Facebook that everything I have gets buried because you have to pay for it, so it's really frustrating. But yeah, that's another conversation to have, I guess. So yeah, that's how I found out about it. It's pretty cool. But it seems like there's I don't know. I see a lot. I don't see that many U.S. citizens on there. It seems like more Canadians and Australians. People from all over the world. So
Australians are taking over, man. Australians are taking over.
Team Australia.
I'll tell you one thing. It got so Australian on the show that we did with Trevor. Not so much with Nathan because I was a little more trained. That for like 2 minutes I had no idea what they were talking about. Krystle and Trevor were like, I can't even remember the words because they were so awesome. I was like, what? Like what? Who? What? Like for like 2 minutes, and we were joking. We were saying that we need a new channel called Bloke Chat. So when they decide to go like super Aussie, they can go in there, and then we get the translator bot to do something. I don't know. Cause I thought I spoke English, and then I am going like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's so funny. When I lived in Berlin, most of my coworkers were from the UK, and I would sit in the office with them, and they'd go back and forth. And it was all in English, but I only knew about half of what they were saying. And I find if I smile and nod, it usually gets me through conversations.
Yeah. You can do it in person, but unless I don't know the feature on this microphone, like I can't play it. Hey guys, let me take a selfie, show you I'm smiling. I don't understand.
Right.
Well, of course, I told you that we're going to do at least 3 songs, and it is the intention to showcase your music. But I got to tell you something. Before we do the song, did I tell you that this show, I don't think any other show does it. I think me and Krystle are the only people that are doing this. When I make a post about today's performance, and I get SBDs for this post, they go to you. Did I tell you that? I didn't tell you that, huh?
Oh, no.
Isn't that awesome?
No, wow.
Isn't that awesome?
Wow, it's amazing.
And look, Betsy's showing. Wow. Look, that is right there the best portrait I ever seen of Nathan ever. That's amazing, Betsy. Like Nathan, you best use that for your next album because that's amazing. But yeah, so here's the mission with this show, or what I'm trying to do. Like me and Krystle are here doing every single week. Is I'm really trying to find a way to that songwriters and people do original music. Not that I have anything against covers, I don't. But I know how hard it is as an original artist to make an impression. The mission of this show is to let other people know what they're missing out if they're not following the person, and to not only say, "Oh, I'm doing this for your exposure." No, you know what? You took your time to come into the show, to talk to me, to be part of this, and my way of telling you thank you is of course with words, with me just saying it now, but also with some SBDs. So whatever I make out of this goes right to you. And that's my way of saying thank you for spending your time with us and for making this show awesome. Because it wouldn't be shit. If it was just me on a microphone for 2 hours, who would come? Like, well, obviously Krystle's here with me, but
I'd come and listen to you.
Well, I think you got it going on. Yeah.
Nah, I think they would get bored. They'll be like, this dude went down the rabbit hole way too much. I'm done. I'm done. So Daniel, what other song are you gonna do for us, bro?
I couldn't decide, but I think I just decided. Now that we had all these deep conversations earlier on. So this is a song that I just recorded. I did a video recording with my band in a tunnel in Southern Ohio over the weekend. It was new to them, and it's called "Oh My Friends," and it's kind of a little bit of a dark song. And I'm anxious for this video to come out, so I'll probably be releasing it here in the next couple of months. And I'll just play it. Here it is. Oh, my friends, I need help. I got thoughts within my head. There are pictures that can't be spoken. There are words that can't be said. And all the creatures in the ocean, all the critters on dry land, living things up in the heavens. We've got to do the best we can. Oh, my friends, it's just survival. Every morning when I rise, and when no one seems to notice, it shouldn't take me by surprise. And all the creatures in the ocean, all the critters on dry land, living things up in the heavens. We've got to do the best we can. Oh, my friends, it would be funny if it weren't just so sad. Because I know I wouldn't change anything for what you have. And all the creatures in the ocean, and all the critters on dry land, living things up in the heavens. We've got to do the best we can. And all the creatures in the ocean, all the critters on dry land, living things up in the heavens. We've got to do the best we can. We've got to do the best we can.
Every time, man. Every time you just kick ass more.
Well, this song kind of speaks volumes of the way you see this planet. You know, you were talking earlier about the trees and all this stuff, and I know that there's a philosophy behind planting trees and taking care of the earth in that way, and obviously the song reflects it. So let me ask you about that. Like, are you somebody that do you do activism? Is this something that's close to your heart? What is your philosophy behind? Aside from you liking trees, you know what I mean? I sense something deeper.
It was very simple for me. I wish I could say it's something amazing, but it's just we have like anyone, I guess I love trees, but we had the tree that I love the most is the ash tree. And I grew up on a farm, and we had hundreds of ash trees, and they got wiped out through the emerald ash borer. So basically, even like a small forest got wiped out.
Oh,
and so
no.
it was for practical purposes. I became obsessed with trying to replant a forest, and then I became obsessed with this idea that, like, if you go into a city, I always think, what makes the street beautiful? It's trees. And unfortunately, here in Ohio, there's like people are just wiping out trees in city streets and everything. So it was just kind of practical. Like, I just wanted to see trees everywhere. So I don't know. So it's like this strange obsession that I have. But I also think that, we have all these environmental issues, but we kind of forget that, like, I'm not like a big activist in terms of like, we've got to do this and that. And I just want to do something. I think, well, let's just plant trees. Like, that's pretty simple. So I just started doing it. I don't really talk about it a whole lot, I just am trying to do it. And so that's kind of, so I'm I'm not really much. I've been active, like if certain issues, there are certain local things that have got me going in the last few years. But I'm more of just like, I just think that sometimes you get in these conversations where you're trying to change the world, but like if you just start right there with the person next to you, if you're on your own street, we're kind of forgetting about that. So that's my
have you
my
ever
little
heard?
goal, I guess.
Yeah, speaking of that, like changing the world,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever heard that? It's like a story. It's one of those. I've heard it 1,000 times. There's different variations of the story, but it's very relevant to what we're talking about. Where it talks about this dude who had, he was walking in the beach, and he's this guy that worked his whole life, and he always wanted to be something, do something with himself, and never really got to, but he was already in his late 50s thinking to himself, oh shit, all the things I want to do, whatever, so it's kind of becoming bitter, becoming a bit of a cynic, and he notices this lady like 200 feet away grabbing, the sand dollars, the little critters. They had all washed to the shore. They were all washed to the beach, and she's like grabbing them and throwing them back into the ocean. And there's like thousands of them, right? So the guy's looking at this lady, thinking to himself, I was like, this lady's crazy. I like she's saving the sand dollars, so because trying to save their lives, but like she can't save them all. So he goes up to the lady, thinking that he's like giving her a dose of reality, and says to her, "Listen, I don't know if you know this, but you're not making a difference, right? They keep on coming. The sand dollars keep on coming. You just keep on throwing them away. You're not making a difference." And then she grabbed another sand dollar, looks at him, and said, "Well, I made a difference for that one."
Yeah.
And this is one of those stories that's kind of to reinforce what you're saying, which is sometimes in this idea that we're so tiny that we can't make a difference, we forget that if it only takes a lot of people to wake up to the reality that we can. Like if every single person says to themselves, you know what, I'm going to make a conscious effort to not pollute, to not throw my garbage on the freaking street. I'm going to make a conscious effort to respect nature. So like if I see a tree that needs some help, if I see I'm going to help it, I'm not going to let it die, I'm going to plant the tree. If everybody starts having that mentality as a collective, it does make a difference. But if we all sit back, if all of us sit back and we're like, well, fuck it, some other guy's going to do it. Oh, what is one tree going to do? Oh, what is one bag of trash? Oh, what is one cup? That's exactly what got us where we are. So by all means, I think what you're doing is fantastic. I think everybody should start walk that path.
I agree, and I also think that, for instance, if we taught kids how to grow plants in school as like part of education, how to grow food, the world would be a better place. Profoundly. But I was wondering, have you guys heard of the guy that planted a forest?
Yeah, in India.
Yeah, I'm just going to drop the link in for those in chat who may not have heard.
Because it's been years since I've seen that.
Yeah, it's like, I watch that like once a year. That little,
and I just love thinking about it because one dude, like, he didn't need anyone's approval, permission. He just saw an issue that needed fixing and set about fixing it, and he has made a fucking oasis, and animals have returned, and it's amazing to watch. And the thing is, I've seen a few different stories like this. There's another one, I think in a different country, not India, where there's two men that work together. One is blind, and the other one is either mute or deaf, I can't remember. And so one piggybacks the other to where they're going, and then they work together and plant trees together all day. And I just love hearing stories about like that. And it goes to show you that you don't need a huge budget and a team of people to make real life world impact. One dude with a few plants can really make an epic impact on the world.
I actually I'm kind of upset. Like I will like collect nuts, like acorns and walnuts and everything, and like just spread them, because I figure that's kind of what that guy did. He just started planting little seeds individually, And it's fun to see them come up. I've got, like, I come back a year later and there's a bunch of little seedlings coming up. It's kind of awesome. Although one day I had a bucket of them in my backyard and I couldn't figure out why the heck my backyard was full of squirrels. It was like a party back there. It was just like every squirrel in the neighborhood took over my backyard. And I went back there. It's like, guys, and they had taken all my nuts, a whole bucket full of nuts. It was just like a squirrel party. And awesome. So I made a difference for their lives, I guess. They took all of my walnuts. So anyway.
You know, I have a mother. She's crazy, but in all the best ways possible. And she built her home at this farm. The family has had a farm for decades now, and there was nothing there. And maybe one day when we have more time, if we ever have another conversation of these, I'll tell you more about it. But she built her home in this middle of the farm, but she didn't want to take down any trees. She's very respectful of nature, and maybe that's the person that taught me to be like that. So when I first saw her home, this is when only the first floor was built, I noticed there was a tree in the middle of the main entrance. I'm like, there's a freaking tree. And so I get to me coming from the city, right? Because I'm living in the States by that time. I go visit my mom and I see this tree and I tell my mom, it's like, Mom, what is this tree here? Why don't you get? And like imagine your front door, the front door to your house. There's a tree, giant tree.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at me and says, "What are you talking about?" And it's like, "What am I gonna do?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Can you move it or something?" She's like, "No, I have no right to move this tree. He was here before me. He will be here after me." And then she touched him with the hand, and he said, "He has a name." And I'm like, "What's his name?" His name is Nelson Mandela. He's like, because he was surrounded by cement, but obviously there's a little bit of dirt for him, but surrounded by cement because of the house. This is built on the stairs of the house. He's like, because I have him trapped, but he's really free. He can grow as big as he wants to. It's no problem. I'll just fix the cement. So he's Nelson Mandela.
That's beautiful.
My mom's crazy.
Mom.
Oh, my mom is everybody.
I'm a big fan of your mom already, and I don't know her. So,
have you ever? Well, when you meet my mom, I don't say if you ever. When you meet my mom, because I meant it, Krystle. I wanted one day. This could happen. One day we go take a trip to South America, go and spend a week over there at the family's farm. That could be amazing. Maybe when Steam is like 20 something.
That would be insane.
Yeah. Maybe when Steam is 20
I would
something.
love it.
Yeah, we do a little power down. We go. It can happen. It's a huge freaking tree. It's awesome. It's a beautiful farm. I honestly need to get back there because I haven't been there for a couple of years. And every time I went, I felt detoxed, and I just need to do it. It's been too long. I need to do it. But it goes back to there you go. You see the tree?
Oh yeah.
That is impressive.
It's a huge tree. It goes.
Wow.
That'd be such nice shade.
That's a beautiful
place. I love trees around houses like that. I mean, there is a risk of them falling down in Australia. Gum trees tend to topple onto houses. So they like to put barriers up around them. But I love the idea of using trees around your house for shade, for cooling. That looks awesome.
I want to go there.
It's a magical place.
Yeah,
it's
fully.
A magical place. My mom, it's funny. Like, this is on so many recordings now because we always end up talking about this. She has already like maybe 7 or 8 homes that she's built for people there because she's an artist at heart. She's just somebody, you give her something and she'll build something out of it. And she decided to build her house, and all of a sudden after she built that, my uncle came. Her older brother, and she's like, "What the? You did this? Can you make me one?" And then she made another one. And then Grandpa came, "Can you make me one?" And then she made another one. Then friends of the family. Next thing you know, there's like 8 properties, and they're all her design. And she's not an engineer. She's not an architect. Nothing. She just grabbed a piece of paper, and I don't bet you.
That's awesome.
But you can find it. There's a Peggy saying that they started to rent one of the cabins that my mom built, and it's on Airbnb. I found it before. It's not too hard to find. Because obviously it's a beautiful place to go, and in that particular part of Ecuador, there's a lot of tourism. There's a place called Montañita, which means little mountain, where a lot of people go every single year from all over the world. As a matter of fact, if you go in season, which is between January and May, sometimes even further, you will hear every single language. Doesn't matter where it is. You're going to hear it there.
What just trips me out is, so the translation is Little Mountain. I grew up near a place called Little Mountain here in Australia.
Wow.
That is trippy shit, man.
Wow. Yeah.
That is crazy. Listen, Daniel,
Is that the picture? That's the house there. I just see it came up.
Yeah, those are more homes that she's built, and this is the beach.
Okay.
Right across. So, and the beaches in this part of Ecuador, they're like super long. So there's like a lot of sand before you get to the water. So we play soccer, we do all kinds of stuff. I know I'm biased, right? Because this is the country where I was born, but it's freaking beautiful. The government is shit, of course, but the country is beautiful.
Yeah, the country looks amazing.
Listen, Daniel, I want to be able to jam in one more song if we can, because we're about to run out of time.
Okay.
And I want to have another one of your songs on the recording. It's we still got like 8 minutes or so we should be able to do this. Do you have something else you would like to play?
Yeah, here's one. All right, it's kind of sad though, but there's hope. The song's about hope, I guess.
I like it.
Yeah. There's always hope. Mama's face is bruised. It's happening again. She swears that she stumbled. She says it wasn't him. But there's poison on his breath. There's drink in his eyes. And there's love in her words. There's truth in her lies. And someday we will walk this road to freedom. Someday we will stand and take our place. Someday we will rise. Wait upon the Lord. You're in the Master's hands. That's what the preacher says. That it's the Master's plan. And there will be a day when there is no night. And there will be a time when we won't have to fight. And someday we will walk this road to freedom. Someday we will stand and take our place. Someday we will rise. Mama's hurt again, but this time she can't speak, and my heart goes black. My knees go weak, and there's drink in his eyes. fear on his breath. And all I see is madness. And all he sees is death. But someday we will walk this road to freedom. Someday we will stand and take our place. Someday we will rise. Someday we will rise.
You weren't joking. It was a little bit sad, but there was hope.
You know, I have to say though, bro, I mean, maybe I'm a loser for saying this in some people's eyes, but I don't give a damn. I cannot relate to happy music. Only music. Yeah, man, I'm telling you. And it's not that I'm a depressive guy or that's not the reason. It's just like I like music that makes me pensive, you know, like I like music that makes me introspect, that I go like, oh, you know what? There's this particular emotional aspect of me that I'm exploring and stuff, and for some reason, when you know something like High School Musical plays, not to bash on anybody who likes it, I can't relate. I was like, I don't know what is all that.
I'm with you, man. Like I definitely go for more emotive songs as well, the deeper, darker. I do have a more depressive tone to my personality than you, for sure. But I don't know. There's more depth to it. There's more truth and beauty because of that brutality, if you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm all about the brutality.
Yeah.
I completely missed the point. No, I'm kidding. I know exactly what you mean. It's a beautiful song. Hey, listen, Daniel, we're kind of coming to the end of the show, and I want to say, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for doing this with me. It's amazing to have shared this moment with you. It's amazing that we've been brave enough to be vulnerable and talk about these things and get all.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
Well, thank you, bro.
Thanks a lot.
And I wanted to ask you, because I want you to have some closing thoughts. Like I wanted to ask you, like, what do you see yourself a few months from now? What do you see for Steam It? What do you want to convey out there? Like, there's somebody listening to the recording and didn't make it to the show. What would you like to say to them?
Well, what do I see myself in a few months? Well, you mean in terms of Steam It or just in life in general?
Well, both. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I actually have this goal to I have a music festival I do every August. And I have this thought that maybe this year it's going to be partially like a Steam It meetup music festival. So that's kind of my goal. Like I know a lot of people personally that will be there, different photographers on Steam It and stuff. So they come anyway, but also to kind of get the word up. Like I hope to actually meet some of you crazy characters in real life. So that's kind of I'm really excited about this idea. And I also we have a family farm that I kind of want to, we're having a hard time keeping it going. And I have this goal that somehow Steam It can be part of sort of saving that farm as well. Like that's kind of on a personal level. I'm so excited about, thinking about ideas of how to write about this farm, how to get people to know about it and come out. And anyway, it's a long story. So that's kind of a personal thing. But as far as Steam It, where it's going, boy, I'm just reading what everyone's writing about it because I have no idea, but it sure is fun. It sure is a fun ride.
You're like, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I'm riding the wave.
Yeah, someone asked me what my favorite cryptos were. I was like, I don't know. I started looking up funny ones. I found UFO coin and I found Kanye, named after Kanye West. And so I was like, those are my favorites. I don't know. So it's to me this whole world is completely new and exciting but yeah, I actually thought about it too. I was thinking about Krystle and company down in Australia, and I was telling my wife, I was like, you know what? I think I want to meet all these people someday. I'm going to go to Australia and meet everyone down there. Nathan K and Krystle, and so
Oh, that would
that's
be
kind
awesome,
of that's
man.
actually I kind of have a feeling we're all going to meet each other, like whether it's your farm in Ecuador or your place in Ecuador, Meno, or whatever. That's kind of
Yeah, I have
don't
I have
know.
that too in my plants, man. I think you read that in my blog, and you're just saying it's your idea.
I guess I don't know, we're just on the same wavelength. It's incredible.
Converting
Like,
everyone to want to come to Australia too.
Well, I'm just afraid something is going to eat me, but I would love the idea of going to Australia.
I told you how to stay safe. Just don't go near the water in the north. Okay, that's where the crocs are.
That's
The
what
rest of the
it's
stuff
all-
you should be fine with.
Oh man.
That is true.
I'm going to China. I'm going to China in May to teach, and I'm just curious if I can. It's so hard to get online there, so I am curious about that time. Like, will I be able to steam when I'm in China? I don't know. We'll find
It's
out.
like, will I have
So-
withdrawals?
That's the thing,
So,
though,
yeah.
right? Well, but it's
Yeah.
like the ability to blog about the things that you're doing kind of removes the necessity to be chained to a particular geography. You know, me and Anka talk about getting a boat one day and starting to literally explore the Caribbean. And
See, I like all that idea, except for being on open water. I have an irrational fear of sharks, so
yeah,
everything
well,
sounds awesome except for the being on the water part.
Me too. I have to confess, but Anka actually knows how to sail, and she's obviously going to be a ninja level expert sailor by the time we attempt something of the sort. But I would assume, and this is just me making an assumption, that when you start out, you kind of stay by the coast and just kind of go down. I would assume, and so we would probably do something of the sort, and maybe we can make it to Ecuador in a boat. That would be crazy, and amazing at the same time. It might take weeks. But who cares? Go through Panama. Maybe I'll see Chew Girl because Chew Girl lives in Panama and Global, and then continue.
True Girl came to visit me here. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She was in Florida, right?
Yeah, she was just.
Yeah,
in Florida.
she's everywhere. She's everywhere.
You know what though? But I think that's awesome about her because she is somebody who is well traveled. I was actually talking to her about this. She's been to Ecuador. She's been to Colombia. She's been everywhere. Like that's not an overstatement. She's been everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty crazy, right?
By the way, Petchy, I have to set this straight. I've never eaten Vegemite ice cream. That sounds fucking revolting. I'm not saying Vegemite generally. I'm just saying making it ice cream is wrong. I don't agree with that. They're trying to make it. They made it into a chocolate as well with like Cadbury.
Well, Nathan
and
is a big
it
Vegemite.
did not sell.
Vegemite is kind of like Nathan's soul food right there. So don't talk bad about Vegemite.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I love Vegemite. It's just some of the things they're trying to put it with now. No. Vegemite has to be had on toast, very hot, melted butter, a decent amount, and a very small amount of Vegemite. And that is how you make Vegemite on toast. And that is why all the Americans who eat it freak the fuck out because they put it on like chocolate paste. They just smear that shit on there. And I'm like, you're going to regret that shit, buddy.
See,
But
well,
there needs to be
haven't
like
been
an
guided
online
properly.
tutorial for it.
But listen, we are officially in a little bit of overtime, and that's okay. I'm actually what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna officially end the recording. It doesn't mean we have to go right away, but I'm gonna officially end the recording here. I'm gonna say to everybody who is listening on the blockchain, who's listening on Steam, this is where you need to be. You need to be an MSP. There's going to be a link to the server, and there's also going to be a link to the shows that are happening on MSP so that you don't get to miss what's happening on this awesome Discord server on this awesome radio station. So if you are listening, guess what? You don't get to listen to the rest, but I do thank you for listening. This was Songwriter Shop Talk episode 8, and my guest today was Daniel Dye. And this is Meno signing off.